What's going on, everybody? Hopefully you're all chilling, doing okay with all of this pandemic stuff going on. Actually, you know what? Blessing in disguise, it has been a really fun free agency for the NFL. So many quarterbacks have been on the move. There's been a lot of big names on the move. Shout out to Tom Brady. I'm also super sick of talking about Tom Brady, if I'm being completely frank with you. I mean, like Teddy Bridgewater. I don't know if there's a quarterback that's easier to root than Teddy Bridgewater. Dude that's been hurt so many times, taken everything in stride, has been a class act, got his chance again in New Orleans, and absolutely took advantage of that opportunity. So Teddy Bridgewater, I hope he gets a ring one of these days. And also just, Phillip Rivers to the Colts. You got what's going on with Cam Newton? What's going to happen in New England with their quarterback situation? What's going to happen with the Chargers? Are they sticking with Tyrod Taylor for sure? Or are they going to sign somebody? So from that front, it's actually been a pretty exciting offseason. So we've been blessed on that front. Other than that, I've been drinking enough alcohol to kill a small elephant every night. Been trying to catch up on Ozark. Side note, is there a worse woman or worse TV wife in the history of TV than Wendy? Woman's an absolute nightmare. So in things that are going on, ESPN is trying to put some band-aids over this thing, and the NBA is as well. They're thinking about starting some kind of a show like that's based on horse. So there's going to be a couple players in different locations, and they'll take a shot and they'll send it back to the other guy. And that kind of sounds like a nightmare. I can't imagine a worse way to spend a couple hours than hear LeBron James mic'd up talking about himself. I quite frankly would rather do an episode of Hot Ones, and instead of eating the hot sauce, I would rub that shit in my eyes instead of watching LeBron James talk about himself. But they are trying to make some things happen. And Mark Cuban actually had a really good solution, or at least he was discussing the idea of potentially putting a lot of players essentially in their own quarantine at a location so they can just play games. They would be away from their families, but at least there would be some form of entertainment provided to people who really, really need it right now. Even if there's no fans involved, I really love the idea of hearing trash talk. I remember when KG was in Boston, I used to just dream about sitting courtside and being able to hear the vulgar stuff that he was saying to other players. I think that's so interesting. The season that we have the best chance of starting on time would be the NFL, with a start date of September. So if you haven't heard, Donald Trump did get on the phone with all four of the commissioners, and he was optimistically talking about the start of the NFL season in September, saying that they are planning on beginning this whole thing on that start date. The good news that we do see is that the NFL is going to be holding the draft. Of course, it's not going to be with a whole bunch of people, but they will proceed with the draft, which is really, really deep and is going to be interesting in its own right. But to think about the NFL starting on time, I really do believe it's a stretch. And here's a quote that I did come across on USA Today talking about Donald Trump and his optimism. And it says, in early February, he pronounced that COVID-19 would be gone by April and that it would miraculously go away with warmer weather. Later that month, he said the disease would simply disappear one day like a miracle. Last month, Trump said the United States had tremendous control over the virus, and he hoped to have the country opening up and just raring to go by Easter. All of that is complete hogwash, of course. In this article right here, it's not exactly a pro-Trump person who was writing this thing, but there is something to that. Trump has been saying a lot of optimistic things from the get since January, and this thing continues to get worse and worse. And I'm not going to talk about, I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on disease control. And this is an article from CBS, and this is another quote here. It says, I'm not trying to be overly pessimistic, but I'm doubtful we're going to have a 2020 football season, NFL or college, said Warren Zola, a respected expert on sports law and executive director of Boston College's Carroll School of Management. That's just me. I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that we're all back over the summer. Also, Kirk Herbstreit was also mentioning something along the same lines. He says, I'll be shocked if we have NFL football this fall, if we have college football, Herbstreit said via TMZ transcript. I'll be so surprised if that happens. So a lot of people are pretty pessimistic about this going down, and of course we're really far away from that start date, but I really question, how are they going to ramp up? So you think about training camp, you think about the preseason, what exactly are you going to do? What's going to be the date where they're going to be good to go and good to practice? You can't expect to put these dudes all in the same training camp, being close to each other in the locker room, even out in the practice field. And if we have another wave of this, which a lot of experts are saying that there are going to be a couple smaller waves, And all it really takes is one person to get infected, and to have something like this where there's a lot of people all in one place obviously is the problem that causes this spreading so quickly. So quite frankly, I think Mark Cuban was onto something there. Get all these dudes on one site, have a bunch of fields, have a bunch of courts or something like that. You got to get tested before you enter the facility, and once the season starts, you cannot leave, or you can leave and come back, and you got to get tested every time. And hopefully by that time we have better testing, or we have more available testing, I should have said, and that's a possibility. I mean, like I said, I would love to hear Odell Beckham Jr. and Jalen Ramsey talking. Isn't that who the feud was between? Just talking trash to each other. Have them mic'd up. I want to hear every single little bit of that. I really don't think it's going to start. I think I'm going to be drinking heavily for a few more months here. Okay, so I need some more shows. Maybe I'm going to start Narcos or something. Maybe I'll develop a new type of hobby. Maybe I was thinking about picking up smoking. Maybe I'll start huffing down some cigarettes. Maybe be one of those guys. So let me know in the comments below, do you think the NFL is going to start in time? And if not, what's going to be the solution? Or what are some what are some of your alternate solutions? What would you do to get this thing up and running? Anyways, thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. I'm going to be making more videos. Appreciate you guys. And go Patriots.